The rain mixed with blood on the hospital steps. A single dad lay dying, 3 bullets in his chest. In his fading vision, he saw the little girl he had just saved running toward safety. His own daughter's face flashed before his eyes. This was not how his story was supposed to end. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Daniel Brooks never imagined he would raise his daughter alone. 5 years ago, life was different. He had a wife he loved, a beautiful home, and dreams of watching his little girl Emma grow up with 2 parents who adored her. Then came that terrible night. Sarah, his wife, was driving home from her nursing shift at the hospital. It was late, almost midnight. The roads were empty. She was careful, always wore her seatbelt, never used her phone while driving. She did everything right. But the drunk driver who ran the red light did everything wrong. The police came to Daniel's door at 2 in the morning. He knew before they spoke. The look in their eyes told him everything. Sarah was gone. Just like that. In one moment, Emma lost her mother, and Daniel lost the love of his life. The drunk driver was Richard Morrison, a wealthy businessman with connections. He had been drinking at an expensive club, celebrating a business deal. He got behind the wheel of his luxury car and took a life. Daniel attended every court hearing. He sat in that courtroom, holding Emma's hand, watching as Morrison's expensive lawyers worked their magic. They talked about his clean record, his contributions to society, his remorse. They made it sound like an accident that could happen to anyone. The judge gave Morrison 3 years. 3 years for taking Sarah away forever. Daniel felt his heart break all over again. 3 years. Sarah would never see Emma's first day of school. She would never hear her daughter's laughter again. She would never grow old. And the man who took all of that got 3 years. Morrison served 18 months. Good behavior, they said. He walked out of prison and back into his comfortable life. Daniel saw him once, getting into an expensive car, wearing an expensive suit, smiling. That smile haunted Daniel's dreams. Daniel had to be strong for Emma. She was only 4 when Sarah died, now she was 9. He worked 2 jobs to keep their small apartment and put food on the table. During the day, he was a janitor at a downtown office building. At night, he drove a delivery truck. Emma was his world. Every morning, he made her breakfast, braided her hair the way Sarah used to, and walked her to school. Every night, no matter how tired he was, he helped with her homework, read her stories, and tucked her into bed. "Daddy, do you think Mommy can see us?" Emma asked one night, her small hand holding his. Daniel's throat tightened. "Every single day, sweetheart. She's watching over you, so proud of the amazing girl you're becoming. Do you miss her?" "Every second of every day." He kissed her forehead. "But I have you, and that makes everything worth it." Money was always tight. Daniel wore the same old clothes, skipped meals to make sure Emma had enough, and worked extra hours whenever he could. He never complained. This was his purpose now. Emma was his reason to keep going. But late at night, when Emma was asleep, the anger came back. Daniel would lie awake, thinking about Morrison. The man who destroyed their lives was living comfortably. He had his freedom, his wealth, his future. Meanwhile, Daniel was drowning in bills and grief. Sometimes, Daniel would drive past Morrison's mansion. He would sit in his old car, watching the lights in the windows, imagining the easy life inside those walls. The rage would build in his chest like fire. But then he would think of Emma sleeping safely at home, and he would drive away. Revenge would not bring Sarah back. It would not make Emma's life better. He had to let it go. Except he could not. The anger lived inside him, quiet but constant, like a wound that would not heal. Dr. James Harrison was one of the best heart surgeons in the city. He worked at St. Mary's Hospital, the same hospital where Sarah had worked as a nurse. Daniel had seen him a few times during Sarah's memorial service. Dr. Harrison had given a beautiful speech about Sarah's kindness and dedication. Daniel remembered that speech during his darkest days. Dr. Harrison had a daughter named Sophie. She was 8 years old, bright and cheerful, with her father's kind eyes. Sophie and Emma went to the same school. They were not close friends, but they knew each other. Daniel would sometimes see Dr. Harrison dropping Sophie off at school. The doctor always looked rushed but made time to hug his daughter and tell her he loved her. Daniel respected that. Despite his wealth and important career, Dr. Harrison was a present father. One afternoon, Daniel was cleaning the office building where he worked. He was emptying trash bins on the 5th floor when he heard voices in the conference room. The door was slightly open. "Morrison is making a generous donation to the hospital," one voice said. Daniel froze. That name. Richard Morrison. $500,000 for the new children's wing, another voice added. Dr. Harrison will be overseeing the project. Daniel's hands shook. Morrison was donating money to the hospital where Sarah had worked. He was buying his way into good graces, painting himself as a philanthropist. The man who killed Sarah was being celebrated. Daniel wanted to scream. He wanted to storm into that room and tell them who Morrison really was. But he was just a janitor. Nobody would listen to him. He finished his work in silence, the anger burning hotter than ever. 3 weeks later, Daniel was picking up Emma from school when he saw Sophie Harrison crying near the playground. Her father was late, and she was scared. "Are you okay?" Daniel asked gently, kneeling beside her. Sophie wiped her tears. "My dad was supposed to pick me up. He's never late." Emma stepped forward. "Sophie, this is my dad. He can help." Daniel called the school office, and they contacted Dr. Harrison. He arrived 15 minutes later, apologizing profusely. There had been an emergency surgery. "Thank you for staying with her," Dr. Harrison said, shaking Daniel's hand. "No problem," Daniel replied. "I understand how hard it is to manage everything alone." Dr. Harrison smiled sadly. "Her mother passed away 2 years ago. Cancer. So yes, I understand that struggle." In that moment, Daniel felt a connection. They were both single fathers, both trying their best, both carrying the weight of loss. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Dr. Harrison crossed paths more often. They would chat briefly at school pickup, sharing stories about their daughters and the challenges of single parenthood. Then came the day everything changed. Daniel was working his night delivery job when he saw something strange. A black van was parked outside Dr. Harrison's home. 3 men sat inside, watching the house. Daniel's instincts screamed danger. He parked his truck down the street and watched. One of the men made a phone call. Daniel could not hear the words, but the tone was threatening. After an hour, the van drove away. Daniel should have minded his own business. But something felt wrong. He drove home, unable to shake the feeling. The next morning, he saw Dr. Harrison at school. The doctor looked exhausted, his eyes red. "Are you all right?" Daniel asked. Dr. Harrison hesitated. Then, quietly, he said, "I'm being threatened." Daniel's blood ran cold. "What?" "I testified against a drug company last month. Exposed their falsified research. Now someone is threatening me. They sent letters. They've been watching my house." Dr. Harrison's voice cracked. "They mentioned Sophie. They said if I don't retract my testimony, they'll hurt her." Daniel felt rage ignite in his chest. Someone was threatening an innocent child. Someone was targeting a man who was just trying to do the right thing. "Have you called the police?" Daniel asked. "They can't do much without evidence. The letters were anonymous. There's no proof." Dr. Harrison looked broken. I don't know what to do. I can't let them hurt Sophie, but if I retract my testimony, dangerous medications stay on the market. People will die. Daniel put his hand on the doctor's shoulder. You're not alone. I'll help you. Daniel started investigating. He could not afford a private detective, but he could dig through public records and ask questions. He spent his free time researching the drug company Dr. Harrison had testified against. The company was called Prestige Pharmaceuticals. They had been caught falsifying clinical trial results for a heart medication. Dr. Harrison had been the expert witness who exposed them. The company faced billions in lawsuits and criminal charges. Daniel dug deeper. He found connections between Prestige Pharmaceuticals and several shell companies. And then he found something that made his heart stop. One of the shell companies was owned by Richard Morrison. Morrison had invested heavily in Prestige Pharmaceuticals. When Dr. Harrison's testimony threatened the company, Morrison's fortune was at risk. Morrison was behind the threats. The man who killed Sarah was now threatening another innocent family. Daniel felt something snap inside him. This was not coincidence. This was fate giving him a chance to protect someone the way he could not protect Sarah. He went to Dr. Harrison with the information. Morrison, Dr. Harrison said, his face pale. I know that name. He's donating to our hospital. He killed my wife, Daniel said quietly. 5 years ago. Drunk driving. He served 18 months and walked free. Dr. Harrison looked at Daniel with horror and sympathy. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry, Daniel said. Help me stop him. We have evidence connecting him to the threats. We can take this to the police. But when they went to the police, the detective was not encouraging. This evidence is circumstantial, he said, looking at their papers. Morrison has powerful lawyers. Unless we catch him in the act, we can't touch him. So we do nothing. Daniel demanded. We wait until he hurts a child. We need more evidence, the detective said firmly. I'm sorry. Daniel left the police station feeling defeated. But Dr. Harrison stopped him outside. Thank you for trying, the doctor said. I don't know many people who would go this far for someone they barely know. I know what it's like to lose everything, Daniel replied. I won't let it happen to Sophie. Daniel could not let this go. He started following Morrison, watching his movements, looking for evidence. It was risky, but he was careful. Morrison lived in his mansion, drove his expensive cars, and attended fancy parties. He seemed untouchable. But Daniel noticed something. Every Thursday night, Morrison met with 2 men at a private club downtown. The same men Daniel had seen in the black van outside Dr. Harrison's house. This was the connection they needed. Daniel borrowed a camera from a pawn shop and started taking photos. He documented every meeting, every face, every license plate. Slowly, he built a case. Dr. Harrison wanted to help, but Daniel refused. You have Sophie to think about. If Morrison finds out we're investigating him, he'll strike. Let me handle this. You have Emma, Dr. Harrison reminded him. You have just as much to lose. Emma will be safe, Daniel said. I'll make sure of it. He sent Emma to stay with Sarah's sister for a few weeks, telling her it was just a vacation. She did not need to know the danger. With Emma safe, Daniel worked tirelessly. He followed Morrison's men, recorded their conversations when he could, and gathered evidence. One night, Daniel was outside the private club when he overheard something that chilled his blood. The doctor's kid goes to Riverside Elementary, one man said. We grab her this Friday, send the old man a message. Morrison wants it clean, another man replied. No witnesses. They were planning to kidnap Sophie. This Friday. In 2 days. Daniel's heart raced. He had to warn Dr. Harrison. He had to stop this. Daniel called Dr. Harrison immediately. "They're planning to take Sophie on Friday," Daniel said urgently. "We need to go to the police now." Dr. Harrison's voice shook. "I'll call them right away." But when they met with the detective again, the response was frustrating. "We'll increase patrols around the school," the detective said. "But we still don't have enough to arrest anyone. If we move too soon, Morrison's lawyers will destroy the case. My daughter's life is at risk." Dr. Harrison shouted. "And we're doing everything we can," the detective replied calmly. "Keep Sophie close. Don't let her out of your sight. We'll have officers nearby." It was not enough. Daniel could see the fear in Dr. Harrison's eyes. The same fear he had felt when he lost Sarah. "I'll be there too," Daniel promised. "Friday afternoon, I'll be at the school. Extra eyes." Dr. Harrison gripped his hand. "Thank you. I don't know how to repay you." "Just keep Sophie safe," Daniel said. "That's all the payment I need." Friday arrived with dark clouds and the threat of rain. Daniel took the day off from both his jobs, something he never did. But this was more important. He arrived at Riverside Elementary early, parking across the street with a clear view of the entrance. 2 unmarked police cars were positioned nearby. Dr. Harrison had arranged to leave work early to pick up Sophie himself. The school day ended. Children poured out of the building, laughing and chattering. Daniel scanned every face, every car, looking for threats. Then he saw it. The black van, parked 3 blocks away. The same van from before. Daniel's pulse quickened. He called Dr. Harrison. "They're here. Black van, 3 blocks east. Don't let Sophie out of your sight." "I'm 5 minutes away," Dr. Harrison said, his voice tight with fear. Daniel watched as children continued to leave. Then he saw Sophie walk out with a teacher. She was heading toward the pickup area. The van started moving. Daniel's instincts screamed. He got out of his car and started walking quickly toward the school. The police officers in the unmarked cars had not noticed the van yet. Sophie stood alone now. The teacher had gone back inside. Dr. Harrison was not there yet. The van accelerated. Daniel started running. Everything happened in seconds, but Daniel's mind processed it in slow motion. The van screeched to a stop near Sophie. The side door slid open. A man reached out to grab her. Sophie screamed. Daniel reached her first. He pushed Sophie behind him, shielding her with his body. "Run," he shouted. "Get inside." Sophie ran, her small legs carrying her back toward the school entrance. The man from the van stepped out. He was huge, angry, and desperate. Behind him, Daniel saw 2 more men. "Move," the man growled. "No," Daniel said firmly. The first punch caught Daniel in the jaw. He stumbled but did not fall. He had been in fights before, years ago, but this was different. These men were professionals. But Daniel was fighting for something more important than himself. He was fighting for Sophie, for Dr. Harrison, for every father who loved his child. He threw a punch back, connecting with the man's nose. Blood sprayed. The second man joined in. Daniel fought with everything he had, blocking, striking, refusing to go down. Behind him, he heard Sophie's footsteps fading. She was getting away. That was all that mattered. The police officers finally noticed the commotion. Their car doors opened. They started running toward the fight. That was when Daniel saw the gun. The third man, still in the van, pulled out a pistol. He aimed it not at Daniel, but at Sophie's retreating form. Time froze. Daniel did not think. He did not calculate. He just moved. He threw himself in front of Sophie's path, spreading his arms wide. The first bullet hit his left shoulder. Pain exploded through him, but he stayed standing. The second bullet hit his chest, just below his ribs. His legs buckled, but he did not fall. Not yet. The third bullet hit his chest again, higher this time, near his heart. Daniel fell. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was Sophie running safely into the school building. Dr. Harrison's car was pulling up. She was safe. He had done it. He had saved her. As he lay on the wet pavement, rain starting to fall, Daniel's last thought was of Emma. His sweet Emma. He hoped she would understand. He hoped she would know he did this for the same reason he did everything, to protect the ones who needed protecting. Sarah's face appeared in his fading vision. She was smiling, waiting for him. "I'm coming home," Daniel whispered. Daniel woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed. The first face he saw was Emma's. She was crying, her small hand clutching his. "Daddy," she sobbed. "You're awake." Behind her stood Dr. Harrison, his eyes red from crying. Sophie was there too, holding flowers. "You saved her," Dr. Harrison said, his voice breaking. "You saved my daughter." Daniel tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. A nurse brought water. "The bullets missed your vital organs," Dr. Harrison explained. He was in doctor mode now, probably the only way he could keep from falling apart. "1 in the shoulder, 2 in the chest. You lost a lot of blood. We almost lost you 3 times in surgery. But you fought. You survived." "The men?" Daniel managed to ask. "Arrested," Dr. Harrison said. "All of them. They're cooperating with police. Morrison has been arrested too. Your evidence, combined with their testimony, is enough to put him away for a very long time. Attempted kidnapping, conspiracy, weapons charges. He's done." Daniel closed his eyes. It was over. Morrison would finally pay for his crimes. "Why did you do it?" Sophie asked softly. "You don't even know me." Daniel looked at the little girl. She was alive, unharmed, her whole future ahead of her. "Because you deserve to be safe," Daniel said simply. "Every child does." Emma climbed onto the bed carefully, avoiding his bandages, and hugged him gently. "I was so scared," she whispered. "I thought I lost you like I lost Mommy." "I'm here," Daniel promised, holding her as tightly as his injured body allowed. "I'm not going anywhere." The recovery was long and painful. Daniel spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Dr. Harrison made sure he received the best care, pulling in favors from colleagues. But the physical pain was nothing compared to what Daniel saw on the news. Morrison's arrest was everywhere. The media called it the pharma scandal of the decade. Morrison's connections to the drug company were exposed. His threats against Dr. Harrison were revealed. His role in the attempted kidnapping was confirmed. And then reporters dug into his past. They found the drunk driving case. They found Sarah's death. They interviewed Daniel. Suddenly, Daniel was not just a janitor who saved a child. He was the hero who stopped the man who had destroyed his life. The media called him a hero. Strangers sent letters and gifts. A fundraising campaign raised over $200,000 for Emma's future. But Daniel did not feel like a hero. He felt like a father who had done what any father would do. Dr. Harrison visited every day. He would sit by Daniel's bed, talking about Sophie, about life, about the strange twist of fate that brought them together. "I can never repay you," Dr. Harrison said one afternoon. "You don't owe me anything," Daniel replied. "Yes, I do." Dr. Harrison leaned forward. "You gave me my daughter's life. You gave me a future. Let me give you something too." Daniel was confused. "What do you mean?" "I'm hiring you," Dr. Harrison said firmly. "Not as a janitor, not as a delivery driver. As my personal assistant and security coordinator. Full benefits, college fund for Emma, housing assistance. You'll never have to work 2 jobs again. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. I can't accept that. Yes, you can, Dr. Harrison insisted. You saved my daughter. This is not charity. This is gratitude. This is me making sure your sacrifice means something. Daniel looked at Emma, who was coloring pictures in the corner of the hospital room. He thought about all the nights he had struggled to pay bills, all the meals he had skipped, all the times he had worried about their future. Okay, Daniel whispered. Okay. 6 months later, Daniel stood in his new apartment. It was not a mansion, but it was beautiful. 3 bedrooms, a real kitchen, and a balcony where Emma could play safely. Emma had her own room now, painted pink with stars on the ceiling. She had new clothes, new books, and a college savings account that grew every month. Daniel still worked hard, but now he worked one job that paid well and had normal hours. He coordinated security for Dr. Harrison's medical practice and managed his schedule. It was challenging work, but rewarding. More importantly, he was home for dinner every night. He helped Emma with homework. He attended her school plays. He was the father he always wanted to be. Dr. Harrison became more than an employer. He became a friend. A real friend. The 2 men, both single fathers, both survivors of tragedy, formed a bond that went deeper than gratitude. Sophie and Emma became close friends. They had sleepovers, celebrated birthdays together, and supported each other through difficult days. One Saturday afternoon, Daniel took Emma to Sarah's grave. They did this every month, bringing flowers and telling Sarah about their lives. Mommy, Emma said, placing daisies on the headstone, Daddy is a hero now. Everyone says so. He saved Sophie's life. Daniel knelt beside his daughter. I did what any parent would do. What your mom would have done. Do you still miss her? Emma asked. Every single day, Daniel admitted. But I'm grateful too. Grateful for the time we had. Grateful for you. Grateful that her memory taught me to protect others. Emma hugged him. I think Mommy is proud of you. Daniel held his daughter close, tears streaming down his face. I hope so, sweetheart. I really hope so. Morrison's trial took 8 months. Daniel attended every day, sitting in the courtroom, facing the man who had taken so much from him. This time, there were no expensive lawyer tricks. The evidence was overwhelming. The testimony was damning. Morrison's crimes were too severe, too public, too well documented. The judge sentenced him to 25 years in prison. No parole for at least 15. When the gavel fell, Daniel felt something break inside him. Not his heart. Not his spirit. But the anger. The rage that had lived inside him for 5 years finally released its grip. Morrison looked at Daniel across the courtroom. Their eyes met. In that moment, Daniel saw something he never expected, regret. Real, genuine regret. It did not change what Morrison had done. It did not bring Sarah back. But it was something. As Daniel left the courtroom, Dr. Harrison was waiting outside with Sophie and Emma. It's over, Dr. Harrison said simply. Yes, Daniel agreed. It's over. They went for ice cream, the 4 of them, celebrating not just justice, but life. The ability to move forward. The chance to heal. A year after the shooting, the city held a special ceremony. They were honoring Daniel with the Civilian Medal of Valor, the highest honor given to ordinary citizens who displayed extraordinary courage. Daniel did not want the attention. He argued with Dr. Harrison about attending. But Emma wanted to go. She wanted to see her father honored. So Daniel wore his only suit, the same one he had worn to Sarah's funeral, and stood on stage in front of hundreds of people. The mayor spoke about courage, about sacrifice, about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. But when it was Daniel's turn to speak, he kept it simple. "I'm not a hero," he said, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. "I'm just a father. I saw a child in danger, and I did what any parent hopes they would do. I protected her." He looked down at Emma in the front row, her face beaming with pride. "My wife, Sarah, taught me that love means sacrifice. It means putting others first. It means being willing to give everything to protect those who can't protect themselves. I didn't do anything special. I just loved the way Sarah loved." He looked at Sophie, sitting next to Emma. "And if I had to do it again, I would. Every time. Because children deserve to be safe. They deserve to have futures. They deserve fathers who come home." The crowd erupted in applause. But Daniel only saw Emma, crying happy tears, mouthing the words, "I love you, Daddy." That night, Daniel put the medal in a drawer. He did not need it. He had everything he needed in Emma's hug, in Dr. Harrison's friendship, in the knowledge that Sophie was safe. 2 years after the shooting, Daniel visited Morrison in prison. Dr. Harrison thought he was crazy. Emma asked him not to go. But Daniel needed this. Morrison looked older, broken. Prison had not been kind to him. They sat across from each other in the visiting room, separated by glass. "Why are you here?" Morrison asked, his voice hoarse. "I don't know," Daniel admitted. "Maybe I need to understand. Maybe I need closure." Morrison looked at his hands. "I think about it every day. What I did to your wife. To you. To your daughter. I was drunk, stupid, selfish. I thought I could buy my way out of consequences. I thought money made me invincible. It almost did," Daniel said quietly. "I'm sorry," Morrison said, tears streaming down his face. "I know it doesn't change anything. I know sorry doesn't bring her back. But I am. I'm truly sorry." Daniel sat in silence for a long moment. He thought about Sarah, about the years of anger, about the bullets he had taken. "I forgive you," Daniel finally said. Morrison looked up, shocked. "Not for you," Daniel continued. "For me. I can't carry hate anymore. It almost destroyed me. Sarah would want me to let it go. So I do." He stood up to leave. "Wait," Morrison called out. "The man who took those bullets, who saved that little girl, who forgave me. Thank you. You showed me what real strength looks like." Daniel nodded once and walked away. He left the prison feeling lighter than he had in years. 5 years after the shooting, Daniel stood in Dr. Harrison's backyard, watching Emma and Sophie graduate from middle school. They were wearing their caps and gowns, laughing and taking pictures together. Emma was 14 now, beautiful and confident. She wanted to be a doctor like Dr. Harrison. Sophie wanted to be a teacher. Both girls were thriving. Dr. Harrison walked over, handing Daniel a beer. "We did good," the doctor said, smiling. "We did," Daniel agreed. "I got the promotion," Dr. Harrison mentioned casually. "Chief of surgery." "Congratulations," Daniel said, genuinely happy for his friend. "Which means I need a new personal assistant," Dr. Harrison continued. "Emma starts high school in the fall. You've been saying you want to spend more time with her." Daniel looked at his friend, confused. Dr. Harrison smiled. "I'm promoting you. Head of hospital security. Better pay, normal hours, and you'll work at the same hospital where Sarah worked. Where you saved my daughter. Where this all began. What do you say?" Daniel felt tears in his eyes. "I say yes." They clinked their bottles together, two fathers who had survived tragedy and found purpose in protecting others. Emma ran over, graduation cap askew, Sophie right behind her. "Dad, we want to take a picture," Emma said, dragging Daniel toward the photo area. "All of us," Sophie added, pulling her father along. The four of them stood together, arms around each other, smiling at the camera. 2 fathers, 2 daughters, 1 family built from loss and love. As the camera flashed, Daniel thought about the journey. The pain, the anger, the bullets, the healing. It had not been easy. Nothing worth having ever was. But standing there, with Emma laughing beside him, with Dr. Harrison's friendship solid as stone, with Sophie safe and happy, Daniel knew something with absolute certainty. He had found his purpose. Not in revenge, but in protection. Not in hate, but in love. Not in taking life, but in saving it. Sarah would be proud. On the 10th anniversary of Sarah's death, Daniel took Emma, now 19 and in college, to her mother's grave. Emma placed flowers on the headstone, then pulled out a letter. "I wrote this for Mom," she said softly. "Can I read it?" Daniel nodded, his throat tight with emotion. Emma began, "Dear Mom, I'm 19 now. Dad makes sure I know you through his stories. He says I have your smile. Dad is my hero, Mom. Not because he took bullets, but because every day he chooses to love me and be present. You chose well. You married the best man. I'm studying to be a doctor now. I want to help people like you did. Sophie is like my sister now. We're a family born from tragedy, but we're strong. We love each other. We protect each other. That's what you would have wanted. Thank you, Mom. You live on in us. Every day. I love you. Always. Your daughter, Emma." Daniel was crying openly now. Emma hugged him, and they stood together, father and daughter, honoring the woman who had brought them both into the world. "She would be proud of you," Daniel whispered. "She would be proud of both of us," Emma replied. They left the cemetery hand in hand, walking into the sunlight, carrying Sarah's memory forward. Daniel Brooks was a hero. Not because he was perfect, but because when it mattered most, he stood between danger and an innocent child. He gave everything to protect someone else's daughter. And in doing so, he taught his own daughter the most important lesson: true strength is measured in sacrifice, in love, and in the willingness to stand up when it matters most. In memory of all the single parents who sacrifice everything for their children.